Everybody. Good evening and welcome to our call for tonight. And let's see, I think I just got to write in here a title and we will be good to go. Right, so if you are here and you're watching from YouTube, I can see your comments and your questions. If you are, I think you guys can also see it if you are in Facebook also. So I think Restream will allow me to do that. So what we're going to be doing here tonight is talking about last time I mentioned a term, and I mentioned a term called Mindshare Academy. Now, when I teach this to PLR customers or our PLR base, they know this as in the context of something that I've called a learning center. And I'm going to explain to you what that means here in the session. And I really need to, before I really get into this, I really need to kind of lay out the logic of why you need to do it before we get into the particular, I guess, the form of what a learning center is and why you need to do it in this way. So I'm gonna talk about just memberships in general, and then if I can finish, then next week we'll talk about, or probably on Saturday, we'll talk about the Mindshare Academy or Learning Center, which is basically a video membership. So let's get into it. Just so you'll know, we're Charles and Laura Harper. We are of Gain Mindshare. We have a brand that we call the PLR Show, and we've been doing that since 2011. Our customers are online business owners, coaches, and trainers. We create instructional, on-screen, over-the-shoulder tutorial video courses that we call private label rights, or PLR. Those are our customers. And our customers use our products to train and sell digital products on their own for their own customers, just like that you're watching right now. Some of those folks may even be watching us now, right? So if you're from the PLR Show, hello to you. Welcome, whether you're in YouTube or whether you are in Facebook. And now this weekly workshop meets in our meetup.com. We are going to be teaching you the very same concepts that we put into our training that we do for our PLR Show customers. And we're going to be doing these on Tuesdays and Saturdays. So I want to invite you to these workshops. They're always going to be free. And so make sure that you're signed up for any future workshops at extremebusinessmakeover.com. Now, once again, if you're from the PLR Show, you don't have to sign up for these workshops. These are going to be, you can actually access it from either our YouTube channel or our Facebook page, and you can kind of go from there. Okay, so let's get into this. So why do you need to do, or why do I suggest that even before you start talking about generating sales, you understand what a membership is? And this is before you start selling a product. And one of the things I can honestly tell you is that I wish if I had understood what a membership is and what it meant, then I would have been doing things differently from the beginning. And that's what I hope that you do. You know, if you're building an online business or you're extending your brand online, then what I would hope is that you understand this, and you understand this in such a way that you operate your business differently. And I would say that even, if you're watching and you are a PLR Show customer, that you really consider this whole idea of a membership not as just something to kind of tack on at the end or something to put in the funnel, but to really understand what it is that you're trying to do. So why do you want to do a membership? One of the main things that you want to do as an online business is you want to make sure that you're able to scale. And one of the ways that you're able to scale is you've kind of smoothed out your income. One of the things that I've noticed about online business is this, that, once you generate a number of sales, and you do it by launching a product, you got to turn around, launch another product in order for you to be able to continue to generate income. And while that's great, and I actually suggest that you do, you sort of want to do that in a way around a membership. And if you listen to what we talked about last week, which is product snowball formula, I kind of explained why that is. Strategically, memberships also occupy your customers from your competition. Now, in some cases, when you're a digital business, you don't really have competition. Just about everybody is sort of your competition. They're also your partners because they'll also promote for you as an affiliate, help you to generate more revenue and help you to find more customers. That being said, one of the things that you don't want to do is you don't want to spend a lot of time sending a lot of customers over to your competition or other business owners in order for you to generate sales. That's just not necessarily good practice, and you wouldn't do that anyplace else. Even if you were not an online business, there's no reason to do that because you're an online business, right? So strategically, your memberships really occupy your customers from your competition. If for no other reason, then you don't send your customers to them. The other thing memberships do is they give you a form of working capital until you have to deliver on what it is that you are putting in your membership. So in other words, what happens is at the beginning of a month, you may have people who are paying you monthly, and those people end up kind of coming to you to pay you, but yet you sort of have some leg room until you actually deliver on what it is that you've got to deliver for that month. Right? So memberships do give you a form of working capital. Memberships give you flexibility in the timing and creation and delivery of your product or service. So if you deliver a service, right, you've got some flexibility, right? You don't have to do it and then have it directly connected to how you get paid. Right? It's based on the value that you're providing. Memberships allow you to build a deeper relationship with your customers. And this is what I really like most. It really does change the equation of what it is that you're doing. When you are selling products, typically what happens is, and it's just a time factor, when you really don't have time to individualize your care and concern for a customer. You've got to, number one, you've got to be in production mode, and you've got to kind of turn around, and you've got to do things just to kind of keep the income flowing and the leads coming. And so you don't really have a lot of time to build that kind of relationship. And I know sometimes, if you purchase a digital product, you kind of expect, well, it's just like if I bought something from the store, but really it's not necessarily. And even if you sometimes will write into a vendor support, you may not necessarily get the support that you kind of feel like you're entitled to. And really that's because you're not necessarily committed any more than that person's committed to you. Right? One of the ways in which you can actually get a higher level of service from a vendor and deliver a higher level of service to a customer is to ask that customer to pay monthly, is to become a customer who is paying monthly for something, right? And I would say that to you. Now, if you've got a service that you're trying to get, and there's a difference between, you kind of figure, well, I'll just pay it when I want it or pay it when I need it. You're going to always get a higher level of service if you're willing to pay monthly, right? That's just a clue. So if you've got something that you got to deliver based on the service you're buying, one of the ways that you get a higher level of service for that thing that you got to turn around and use in order to deliver to another customer is you can decide and commit to paying monthly. Right? That's one of the ways that you can get a higher level of service. It's one of the ways you deliver a higher level of service. What memberships also allow you to do is to test new concepts before you release them to the general public. What you do is you go to your members and you give them something and you allow them to beta test it and you allow them to use it and you get feedback. And these are real customers and they will actually tell you what's working and what's not. If you have a number of people that are already sort of in your stable and they're already paying you monthly, they will give you honest feedback, right? So that's another reason that a membership is good. It's a good way of being able to deliver your online business, deliver your online brand. What kind of business can build a membership, right? So as long as you can process the payment, any kind of business can set up a recurring membership, any kind. So there really is no limit. I mean, I've seen, you probably even seen Amazon has developed subscriptions for Tide, anything, physical products. There are things called subscription boxes. You can do a subscription for just about anything on a recurring basis where you can process a payment. So if you can process a recurring payment, you can deliver a membership. And then it's always going to work best, though, if you can set this up on the website. Right. So anytime you can collect a recurring payment, you can be a membership. but it always works best. And it's easiest for the customer, and it's going to be easier for you to administer if you can do it through a website. As I just said, Amazon will allow you to subscribe to certain items in its pantry, right? So you can get certain kitchen items. I say that to say that if you're doing anything, right, and you are delivering it repeatedly, you can turn that same thing into a membership. And I talked about subscription box companies, right? If you just kind of look up subscription box companies, you may even purchase from one, right? There are a lot of meal preparation companies that are basically subscription boxes for food, right? They deliver you something, pretty much on a weekly basis, right? They kind of bring you a set of things, and you just continue to stay subscribed to them. What you really want to think about is what kind of results your members want to keep. So what is it that the people who are paying you monthly want to do? Why are they subscribing to you? What is it they're trying to get? What is it they're trying to achieve or get to? Whatever that is, if you're willing to think about that, then you can then generate some kind of subscription. What you got to do, obviously, and you see this, any membership that you're purchasing, if you can figure out a way to deliver the results they want cost effectively, you can generate a membership, right? And you generally want to try to do that. How much should you charge? That's always the question that people are going to be asking. Pricing is always going to vary, but I'm going to give you some principles you can think about. Now, if you're offering something that allows people to get what you sell as a one-off, what you're going to do is just knock some of it off, knock some of it off the price. So in other words, let's say you deliver something that costs, $97. And you're gonna give people access to one of those things you deliver for $97 every single month. What you're gonna do is you're gonna knock them a percentage off of that, right? So you base your pricing on that top level. It's sort of like you're anchoring that $97 price, and you're going to say, hey, you know what? If you subscribe, you'll get them all for $60, right? $67 or $57. And basically, they've already anchored the $97 price in their head. They know they're getting a deal by getting you at $57, but you're also getting a deal by having having a smoother cash flow and having, the luxury of being able to create it and deliver it within the monthly period, right? And that's basically what we're saying here. If a customer typically pays $27 at your site, you can charge $24 monthly. I think you're basically going to be looking at knocking a third off, or, I like to say 30%, right? If you can knock 30% off, or sometimes even 20%, that's going to be a good level at which you're going to set the price. So again, the price is going to vary. Whatever you're selling, you want to knock 20 or 30% off of it if they get it on the monthly basis. If you're delivering something that can't be purchased elsewhere, what you've got to do is you've got to just consider the value of it. So in other words, let's say that what you're doing is you're giving people a monthly subscription, but it's not something that you offer. What you've got to do is you've got to value what you're doing instead of the time that you're spending and the resources you take to create it. And I see a lot of people do this. They say, well, you know what? It costs me, this to get it made. It costs me this to put it together. It costs me this much in terms of time. And that you will always shortchange yourself if you do that. What you've got to do is you've got to consider, what is the value to the person paying? What does it mean to that person? So in other words, what kind of money does it save that person? So it doesn't matter what it costs you to put it together. What matters is what it's saving the other individual. What's that worth? And whatever that's worth is what you have to charge. You have to start setting a price. You start thinking about a membership at the level of the value at which it is hitting that customer or hitting that area. Now, you could be delivering information in a physical newsletter that other people can't get, right? And so what you wouldn't want to do is say, it costs me, the printer costs me, $8 per issue, right? And you wouldn't want to say, well, and my time is worth about, $100 a week, and I divide that by 12. You don't want to do that. Right? What you want to do is you want to determine the value of the information you are considering. You don't even want to say, my newsletter, physical, comes in the mail, is going to be 30 pages, and that's $3 a page. No, you don't want to do that, right? You might do that to sell it, But what you want to do is you want to consider the time and the value of the information and what it's going to do for the person, and then charge accordingly, right? Always look at things from the standpoint of what it does for the customer. It's typically always going to be higher than if you calculate this on the production side, right? It's always going to be that. And so you got to kind of think about that. Let's talk about the time factor in pricing. You may want to consider tier levels, tier membership, or separate levels. The more personal time that you spend and give is the amount that you should be raising the price accordingly, right? So if I buy at a certain level and I only get, let's say, 10 minutes of your time, or maybe I don't see you at all personally, and then you have a second level where you meet with those people at least once a week, you're going to charge more for that level, right? You're not going to charge the same as if that person, just kind of bought your information product. You're going to charge accordingly. And you want to think about this again. The more that personal time that you're giving someone, the more they have to pay, the more you have to charge. Please do not, sell an information product and then promise to give people, all of your time in the Facebook group and all of your time asking questions and unlimited support and all these things. Those things are great. And you know what? People would be a fool not to take you up on it. But eventually what will happen is you will lack the ability to deliver at that level, right? You have to charge accordingly. Otherwise, you will not be able to deliver at the higher level at which you want to deliver personal service. If you're going to have a low price membership, that's kind of what I'm saying. You're going to have to structure it by not being expected to spend a maximum amount of your time, right? So if somebody's buying a video course, you're going to charge them $20 or $30. Please do not promise them that you are going to be there for them every time they have an itch, right? So you can scratch it. Don't do that. You are devaluing your time. You're actually devaluing your customers, and any customer that pays you more for a higher level, you are devaluing that customer. Don't do that. Everything's going to always depend when you start talking about a membership, where that membership falls in your product line. I call that a funnel here. That's pretty much the discussion and lingo that we use, in the PLR land. But everything depends on where your membership is. If the membership is the whole point of your business, if it is your signature offer, if that is that is everything that you are doing, then you're going to want to structure it so that it gets most of your attention, right? So that's the way you have to do that. Now, if the membership is not the point of your business, so in other words, it's something else that you've added on, what you've got to do is you've got to make sure that the value proposition is structured so that you don't overextend yourself. So then it could be that your membership is everything that it is your signature offer. If it is, then you've got to make it so that, some of your personal time is available inside the membership. If it isn't, you've got to just make sure that you're not devaluing your own time and overextending yourself. One thing you got to do is keep it easy to understand. That's about 8:50. I'm looking at my time here, so I know I'm probably not going to finish. We're going to be finishing this next week, so I'm going to kind of get through what I can. We're not going to rush through this. I'm going to take my time. It's all pretty important, and so I want to make sure that you get it. Keeping the membership simple and easy to understand is important. Average stick rate for recurring business membership is 3 months, right? You have to think about that, and you can always outperform 3 months. Right? There's no reason for you to be at that average. And you can do that by making sure that everything's easy to understand. And there's some ways and if you have something that's complicated, there are ways around that. I'm going to cover that. I'm going to tell you about that. But you've got to do too much. You've got to try to be careful about trying to do too much with the software, right? A lot of, this kind of really happens, you got, everything automated, and they're going to get an email and they're going to get, put into this group, and it's all going to happen on an automated basis. Do not depend on that, right? One way to do this is, kind of depending on what the price you're offering. You can always do an onboarding call. I suggest you do that, right? Or an onboarding, even if you do it by email, you can do a 15-minute onboarding session. That's what I do. Because all that does is that helps you to alleviate any confusion at the beginning, right? If your customers aren't used to seeing a membership site or logins and passwords, you're going to have to deal with that. And so you don't want to make it a complicated process for them to get in. Now you could be in a world where most people are kind of familiar with that. They deal with that stuff all the time. Our customers in PLR land, they probably deal with logins and passwords and all that stuff. None of that's foreign to them, but your customer may not be. And so if your customer is going to be foreign to that and they don't do a lot of that stuff, you are going to have to go the extra mile to make sure that it is so incredibly simple that they can get in, and that you are on standby if they do not. You can always outperform that 3-month average by, giving them and surprising them with some kind of perk, right? That's only for them, right? One of the things you can just kind of wake up every day and figure out ways to kind of give people stuff, right? That's one of the ways you outperform outperform that average. Now you can do this sometimes if the membership you're offering is the point of your business, right? So if that's your signature offer broken up into 12, that's understandable. It may not necessarily be feasible for you to do those kinds of things if it is something else that you're adding on to your business. You can always outperform the 3 months by delivering what you promised on time or ahead of time. And then this is really vital and something that it takes a while to kind of learn how to do, but it's important to do. You got to encourage consumption. And so the number one thing that you can do is making sure is that when that member becomes part of your, starts becoming part of your site, or they decide to purchase your monthly program, you got to get those people onto a contact list of some kind. Typically, I like email, and I think that's what you should be considering to do. And you've got to write these people every so often. You've got to let them know and remind them to get into what it is that they have, right? You've got to remind them of what they have, and you've got to, and you're not doing that just so you can keep them in, right? Because I've seen people that will write right before the renewal date, right? That's not the way you want to do it. You want to make sure that you're talking to people all along the way, and that you're reminding them for their benefit that they can get the most out of what they purchased from you, right? And people are human nature is that people are sort of wanting to transfer some level of responsibility to get to their goals to you, right? That's what they've done. And so to some degree, and this is not everybody, but to some degree, and you may have felt this when you have purchased a membership yourself. You feel like when you make that purchase that, you're relieved because you've solved an issue. But the only way that I solve that issue is if I interact with what I purchased. Same thing is going to be true with your customer that purchased from you monthly. They will feel like in their heart, right, that they have alleviated some part of stress or some problem that they have by purchasing your membership. It was reasonable. They trust you. You've delivered to them before. But the only way they get that benefit is if you help them to consume what you have. You have got to make the effort to get them into what it is that they purchase. If you do not, what happens is they don't necessarily use it. They don't necessarily see the value in it, and then they will fall in line probably around that 3-month period, right? It's important. And so, and consumption is I'd say it's probably underrated in terms of the thing that you can do to help your monthly members or your subscribers to be successful, and for you to be successful, as a membership site owner, right? Now, and that's what I really want to talk about here. Encourage consumption and use, and we'll kind of end on this. You've got to get them to use what you're selling them, right? If you're going to get them to stay past the average stick rate, and so it really should be easy to see how they'll be using what you're selling them, and this is going to be kind of important when you design things that you're going to sell to people. When you start talking about course design, you got to kind of think about that. How can you, even within the context of your course, what can you do when you are teaching a subject to encourage someone to do something, Because if you do that, yes, you should be engaging with people outside of the course by email. But the course itself needs to be designed so that you get people to interact with what they're buying from you, right? And if you think, well, you know what, I sell, let's just say that, you were Apple and you sold an iPad, right? Well, that's cool. You could make sure that when that person makes a purchase, they end up on your email list if you're Apple, and they're getting tutorial videos from their purchase, right? They're getting check-ins from you to say, hey, there's a brand new feature with this new OS. Have you put it on your iPad yet? So it doesn't matter what it is you produce. This is not just for information products. It works extremely well with information products. But you should be doing this by designing whatever it is that you use, as well as engaging, so that you are helping people to use what you have, what they have purchased from you. That is vital. If you can do that effectively, then what you're going to find is that when you have members who are paying you monthly and they are consuming because your product design forces them to, they are going to stick with whatever it is that they have purchased from you. One of the things you can do is you can invite people to a group training. Again, that might not be feasible based on the price that they're paying, what you're offering them. But most times you can always get people on the email list and invite them to a webinar and train them how to use it, right? Train them, show them how to get the most from it. It is going the extra mile, but what it does is it really, again, provides what I call a stick factor. And it helps you to become, and it helps your membership will last longer than the average stick rate. Now, you can always, depending on how your membership is structured, you can highlight members that are using it already, right? Anybody that's using it is a star, right? Not just the success stories. Anybody who's putting effort into using what you have, you want to make them a star, right? Good for them. It's good for you, and it's also good for the people who maybe are on the edge about what it is that they have. And so you really want to, over time, just start developing the kind of relationship with members so they're comfortable sharing their success, right? You want to develop that kind of relationship with people. Again, I know everything is going to depend on price. Everything's going to depend on where that membership is structured, or where it falls inside of your funnel or your product line. But if it is your signature offer, you should be developing the kind of relationship with your members so they're comfortable with you sharing their success, and so that they're comfortable then for allowing you to share their success with other people, right? Now, obviously it may not be possible to share successes based on what it is you're selling. And so if you do that, one of the things you can do is you can provide clear examples from your own everyday uses. Right now, if you're selling something and you're using it, you're your best customer, then you should be sharing what it is you're doing, what's working for you, right? That's a great way of being able to do that. And you should be fully transparent when you're sharing these things. Your members should not feel as if the only reason your product works is because you're using it, right? Or that's your system. Of course you're going to have success. Your members should not feel like that, right? Especially when you're using and you're giving and you're marketing information, your marketing expertise. Your members should feel like anybody can follow your system. And part of what you got to do, and again, it does not matter even if you're not selling information, you have got to make it so that the after experience of whatever it is they're purchasing, your customers should feel like, well, this works because I followed the instruction that they laid out for me, not because, well, they know what they're doing, they have it all the time, that's how they do it. That should not be the perception of what it is you're selling. Okay, every time you use an example, you should be demonstrating that if they follow your directions, right, really simple directions, they will be able to use what you were selling them successfully, right? That's what you've got to communicate. That's what you've got to demonstrate. And you're going to find then that, you're going to be developing what I call a higher stick rate. Okay, it's not a one So I am going to stop here and I'm going to pick it up on Saturday with part 2 of this. And I think I've got quite a bit more to do. Yeah, I mean, as you can see here, I've got quite a bit more to do. So let's pick it up from there next week. Just so that you'll know, you can get on our daily newsletter, GameMindShare.com/daily training. We do workshops on Tuesday night, 8:30, Saturday night at 8:30. We do a weekly Q&A, do a little more informal stuff, right? That's our daily newsletter. Once again, if you're a PLR Show customer, you are already on our list. You can go to the PLRshow.com. Our weekly workshops, you can find out more about them at extremebusinessmakeover.com. I'm going to ask you to do me a favor, and I do this at the end of every session. If you have found value in any of this, please do me a favor and go over to the plrshow.com/shout and just give us a shout out over there. And basically what we do then is, we put these on our sales pages and our workshop pages, and we let people know that, hey, what we're doing is benefiting people. Right. So if you found some value from this, you learned something, you feel like, boy, I've got something I can really kind of go out, I can use in my own, I can use in my business. Hey, we love it. If you could just give us a shout out there, and we will definitely appreciate it. Okay, everybody. Well, thank you. Appreciate you all being out here for us this evening. Have a great night and a pleasant tomorrow. Take care.